Hello and welcome to the Trinity Stamps YouTube channel. My name is Terry and I am super excited to be on the channel again. I am sharing a shaker slimline card that I created using the Frostbite Café stamp and die set. And I do want to apologize for my voice. I have been feeling a little bit under the weather, but I wanted to make sure to get this video out for you guys. Okay, so let's get started. So here is a close-up look at the stamp set that I will be using today. This one again is called Frostbite Café, and I went ahead and stamped out all the images onto a white colored cardstock. Well, this cardstock is alcohol friendly as well because I do plan on using my alcohol marker, and I'm stamping it down with an alcohol marker friendly black ink. And the ink that I like using here, this one is Memento Tuxedo Black ink. I like this ink because it dries very fast and it doesn't smudge when I'm using my alcohol marker. So I did have to stamp this a few times just to make sure I got a good impression. After all the images were stamped out, it is now time for coloring. I am using my Copic markers today, but you can pretty much use any coloring medium that you have on hand. If you're not into the coloring part, I will leave a time down below so you can go ahead and forward it to that time. But if you are, I will go ahead and play some music and speed up the coloring process just a little bit. So sit back and enjoy. Off screen, I went ahead and die cut all the cute little images, and I pulled out my Slimline series modern embossed frame panels, and I'm going to go in with the middle portion. I haven't detached the two yet, but I will later on in this video. Okay, so I am going to die cut this portion out of a cream colored cardstock. And I'm using my electric die cutting machine, but if you have a manual, it will work just fine with this wafer die. And here is how it looks right after die cutting. Okay, so before I assemble all of the pieces together, I wanted to go ahead and ink on some sentiments. So on the stamp set, I grabbed two of the sentiments and I'm stamping that on top of the frame that we created. I did use a blue color ink as well as a pink color ink. So for some of the images, I am adhering it on top of the frame. So here I'm using liquid adhesive to adhere the fishing penguin onto the bottom portion of the frame. I am also using small foam squares to attach some of the penguins on top of the frame. This is just a great way to give a little bit extra dimension. And there's just something so cute about a penguin holding an ice cream cone. I just thought this was such a cute little design. And I did the same thing with the little penguin on the skis. So for the background, I wanted it to be nice and cheery. So I decided to go with a combination of rainbow colors. So starting off with a purple shade of ink, I am blending that using my blending tool. Then I went in with a blue shade of ink, making sure to blend between the two colors. In my experience when I'm ink blending is, it works better, or the ink blends better on smooth cardstock. And when you're blending the colors together, just make sure to go back and forth between the colors. So like with the purple and the blue, you start off with the purple and then you go in with the blue, but then you go back to the purple and make sure that the lines are kind of blended out. And it might look a little blotchy at first, but usually the ink would absorb into the cardstock and it would smooth out within time. Okay, so the last shade here, I'm going in with a pink color, and this is the color It's a Girl from Café ink. And to give the background a little more interest, I am going in with some gold paint. And what I like to do is I like to splatter this all over my background. Okay, so now moving on to the shaker panel. So the frame that we used earlier to cut the frame piece out, I am detaching it now. The reason why I'm detaching it is because the second part of this frame, I am going to cut it out of acetate. And that acetate will be the front of my shaker panel. Okay, so to attach the acetate to the front panel, you could use liquid adhesive, but I found that the rip and stick tape works the best because it adheres to the acetate and holds on very nicely. So here you can see that I'm going around all the edges and I'm just applying the rip and stick tape. Then going in with my pickup stick tool, I'm using that to remove the backing off of the tape. And now I am adhering that onto the acetate sheet. And this is the front of our shaker panel. Okay, so before we add our shaker in, we need to create somewhat of a shaker well. And by doing this, there are different ways you can do this, but I like to use foam squares or foam strips. And I'm cutting the foam strips to kind of create a square around each window. And each square is creating a little well. And a little well will hold all of the sequins that are poured inside of it. Before I pour all of my embellishment or shaker bits inside the little wells, I'm going in with my pickup stick tool and I'm removing all of the backings off of the foam squares. Now I'm going in and I'm filling each little well with my shaker bits. You can pour as much or as little of the embellishment in here as you want. I'm kind of keeping it a little open because I wanted to add some of the extra penguins that I have off to the side to the back of the shaker. Okay, and now to add this on top of the background that we created. A lot of people can place the background right on top of the frame, but I found that adding a piece of recycled plastic to the back of your shaker windows kind of prevent everything from spilling out. So here you can see I cut a piece of plastic paper from a recycled stamp package, and I went ahead and trimmed off the excess pieces. As you can see here, all of the embellishment and sequins are contained within the well. So here is what I want it to look like. So I'm going to go ahead and apply liquid adhesive onto the back of the shaker frame, and I'm going to adhere that on top of our background scene. I also went ahead and added a few of the sequins on top of the card panel. Now to finish off the card, I adhered it to a side folding card base in the color white. I really love how this card turned out, and I love the shape of the clay sequins in the background. I really hope that you guys got some inspiration from this video and get crafty in your craft space. Don't forget to tag us on any card making projects that you create. Don't forget to thumbs up, comment, and subscribe to get notified for any future videos. Okay, until next time, I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.